Right, hello everybody, welcome back. Now, I was watching Mark's allotment plot the other day, and I really like his channel. It's brilliant. He's a happy gardener, just gets on with it, brilliant. And after his potatoes, he was going to use that to plant some carrots. So I thought, I'll have a go at that. It's got to be a bit of fun, isn't it? So we'll be mixing up the soil, nice and light, for the carrots, and I'll also be using this plastic egg tray, and more of that sort of towards the end. But basically, once I've mixed up the light mix, put it into the container, I press that down into the soil. That makes indentations for you to put your carrots in, nice and thin, so you don't have to thin them out. So it's pretty much the spacing for a carrot, but more of that later if you if you bother to last that long. So let's just get on what I'm doing for the mix. I'm using the soil compost mix that came out of my second early potato buckets, and I'm doing 2 shovelfuls of that, and that is sieved through a 13mm sieve. All right, so 2 of them. I'll crack on, so I'm not boring you to death. So that goes through a 13mm sieve into my bucket that I use for that. And then the sand, although it's coarse sand, it was a little bit too coarse, I thought, wasn't I? So this is going through an 8mm sieve. I know I've faff around a lot doing stuff, but I find, and that's 2 to 1. Yeah, I find the more effort you put in, it doesn't take that much more time to do a proper job, the better the results you get. That's what I found. Mix all that up with, of course, your Cornish shovel, which everybody should have in your life. So that gives you a nice light mix. I'm adding in a bit of Vitac, potato and vegetable fertilizer, blah blah blah. Just a bit, just for shits and giggles. Chuck a bit of that in. I don't think they need particularly rich soil, carrots, do they? Mix that up. Now, when I actually sow the seeds, I sow them into direct compost, and I'll show you how I do that a bit later on, because for me, it's given me great germination rates. Right, I'll mix up a bit more of that because it ain't quite enough. Fill that, then we'll move on to the planting the seeds and how I do it and how I've managed to get really good germination. Right, get on, Pete. Right, a bit like when Mark done his, I'm a bit cramped for space here, so I'll just go through it, what I've done. On top of the mix we just made up, I've now put about 1 inch of compost, decent quality compost out of a bag, not the bulk stuff I got. And then where this comes into play, and I've really watered that well. I mean, seriously watered it. That's had probably 3 litres of water chucked in top of there. Now, how you use this, it's just brilliant. Stick it in, give it a really good push down, like that, and that gives you your little divots. And you can move it across, and they line up, like that. And that gives you your planting stations, and you can just, there's a little bump in the middle so you can whiz around and just waz them in with your finger like that. I hope I'm not blocking the bloody view. I probably am. So that gives you your spaced out stations to plant your carrots in. These are Nantis 5. And what I do after this, I think this is what makes them germinate so well. So stick with me, stick with me. Oh shit, I've got a bandage on my hand. How am I going to do this? Right, so now, I mean, you can do it individually with a stick and a bit of pencil. Just stick 1 or 2. Oops, too many. In each station. And that way, you won't have to thin them out. Right, I'll come back when I've done this. Right, so now I've got my seeds in. What I tend to do is just go along and just water them in. Now, some of them might move, but it's not the end of the world. Because my thinking is they need to be nice and moist to get going. Right, so that's got them nice and wet. And then what I do, I told you it's over the top, but it seems to work. Check that, is go over them and fill in the holes with fine vermiculite. Don't worry, after this there's only one more step. Because the vermiculite really holds the moisture. To be honest, I normally take a bit more care than this when I'm doing it, but I don't want you hanging around forever. You've got important things to do, like get out and do some gardening. Not to be fanny ass about. Right, so that's them covered in fine vermiculite so they can get up through it nice and easy. And then, just on top of that, a final light dusting of compost. Because I find if you do it with compost, not a massive stick, you can really see if it's drying out quicker. And if it's drying out on top, you know, it's starting to get dry underneath, and you can do something about it. Just that on there. And finally, a real good damping down with a fine rose. Like that. What I should have done before I damped it down is go around my squisher and squished it all down. But I don't think it really matters when you do it. So it's all now really moist in the polytunnel, so it's nice and warm. Hopefully we'll get a quick germination. And to keep it nice and moist, I just put a bit of cardboard on top and then check it every few days until the carrots come up. So that's it. That's my stupidly over the top way of planting carrots, but so far it's worked. I've got some next door, I'll just show you. So these are the tubs I sown just 8 days ago, and they've started to germinate already. I've got 3 tubs there. And what I'm about to do now is put a bit of shade netting over the top. That way there again to help keep the moisture in, and I'll just water with a fine rose over the top of them under with the shade netting still in place. It works really well. Right, there we go. Over the top way of planting carrots, but I've got some, so I'm a happy bunny. Thanks for watching. Cheers and go.